Come on, mom, 22 grand. I stay dripping on fam. You losing my mind. You come in my mind. You don't like what you'll find. Getting real. I used to spark your seal. That's how I know you feel. I flood your wrist. That's what your meal. Ducking the ops. That's Navy SEALs. And we're back with another episode of Behind the Artist. I'm your host, Tyler Tabor, and with me today is Brian Penczak from Richmond.
What's going on, guys?
Let's give him a round of applause. Brian is a drummer for the ACBQ's Top 40 charting rock band, which is amazing. The band is called J.O.B, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the J.O.B. It stands for the Jim O'Farrell Band.
Nice.
The J.O.B. is the name.
So yeah, exciting stuff going on over here. So as I do with all guests, my first proposition to them is just to take me through their musical journey. So Brian, if you don't mind, we can start from the beginning, make it as long as you want, as short as you want.
Gotcha.
We got all the time in the world.
That is good to hear. There's a lot of time, so it's good to use it. So basically, I think I want to say I started playing drums in around 4th grade. My younger brother picked up guitar, and I was like, "Oh, music's cool. I'm gonna do that." And I fell in love with it. I remember I was hanging drum. I didn't have a lot of money to spend, so I was just kind of pulling whatever crap I could together. So I took like cymbals and hung them on bungee cords from the ceiling and stretch it to the floor. All kinds of ridiculous stuff. Then in middle school, I picked up guitar and bass. That may have been high school. I think it was middle school. I don't know. It was that stuff is all kind of gone by the wayside. I had a band in high school. We did some stuff, but we never really went anywhere, and people moved on. People went to college. So did I. So, yeah, as the demands of the modern world. But let's just say, so I got to college, then freshman year happened. And for those of you that go to college, that can mean a variety of things. I made some mistakes, did some things I probably shouldn't have done, but I'm not going to get into all that, but I definitely grew from it. But then sophomore year came, and like I just found myself asking, like, I kind of got back on the straight and narrow, and then I just constantly this voice was like, why am I even here? Why am I even here? Why am I even here? And I kept asking myself that. And then eventually I got to the point where I'm like, I'm not here. I'm mentally elsewhere all the time. I'm always thinking about music.
Yeah, you're checked out.
I remember sitting in an accounting class, or I don't remember if it was accounting or that's how irrelevant it was to me. I was in a class, it was some kind of business class. And I remember looking at the clock, and it kept saying 404. And the error code on like Google, like page not found. I'd just be looking at the clock and be like 404, time not found. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I was just constantly in the back of my head. I was like, I need to get out of here. And that's funny. Just felt this like storm brewing inside me all year. And I was like, nope, college is the only option. Straight and narrow. Like I was just torturing myself. And then I'm going to sound like a terrible person, but this wonderful pandemic dropped out of the sky. And then it was like I went home, and it just I was thinking about it for weeks. I'm like, if everything is this subject to the forces that be, why am I going to college? And I finally was like, I don't want to go anymore. And then I happened to look on Craigslist, and it was like, oh, we're a band of 13-ish years with 200 plus shows seeking a drummer. I was like, that sounds interesting. I'll respond to that. And then I responded. They got back to me like almost immediately. They were like, yeah, we'll do a Skype call. They originally wanted to meet in person, but both my parents are doctors. So they were like, no, pandemic, you're not going over there. And I was like,
yeah.
So we did a Skype call, or maybe a Zoom, one of the platforms. And they were like, yeah, we'll have you audition in a couple weeks. So they sent me a few songs to learn. I learned them. And then I think it was like maybe it was the night before the audition. I was sitting there with I learned all the songs. I was sitting there with my electronic drum set, trying to get it figured out with an audio interface to stream through Skype. And that was just because I had to play their song at the same time as sending this audio to them, which was just, it worked, but it took some trial and error. So I did the audition, and they were like, all right, we're gonna have a quick little meeting. You can go outside and take a smoke break, and then we'll invite you back. I was like, all right, I don't smoke, but cool. So I went and sat out. I just kind of shut the computer down, and then they sent me a text, and they were like, we want to welcome you into the band. I was like, oh, good shit.
That's awesome.
Sounds awesome. Like, it was the first audition process I ever really went through, and I was so happy to hear that. And then for like a month or something, we weren't doing band practice because I lived with my parents, and they were just very concerned about COVID because, again, they were doctors. And
of course,
you know, if you have various information, your eyes are glued to that information, and it's hard to be like, nope, I don't care, because you know the consequences. Whereas like, I just want to play music, so it's very easy for me to just be like, I'm just gonna do what the people around me are doing and not take this too seriously, but I'll still wear a mask, you know. But anyway, so we did Skype calls for a while, and then eventually we started practicing. And over the summer, we've been writing new songs, working on a new album. We actually went to Maine at, I want to say, why do I not remember the date? I think around September for 5 days. And our singer has this friend who has a cottage up in Maine. Thankful for that dude.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he rents it out as an Airbnb. He was like, do you guys want to just use this for a week? And we were like, yeah. So we drove up to Maine. We drove up to Maine. It was like a 15-hour drive. It was ridiculous. And we had to drive to New Jersey, which was New Jersey. It was interesting. We were on the way back. We stopped to get gas, and you know how they have the gas station attendants there.
Yeah.
The dude put the pump in the car. Like, our singer's name is Jim. He had it in the car. He put the pump in the car, and he walked away. We were sitting there for like 5 minutes, and then Jim's like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" So he like flagged him down, and the guy walks over and he takes the pump out of the car and puts it back. So we're like, "All right, cool. We're about to hit the road." A few hours later, we realized there was like no gas in the car. He didn't even start it. So he just like took the card and didn't even put gas in the car.
Oh my god.
That's my little rant about New Jersey. I'm sure there's awesome people.
Man.
I know people from New Jersey. I love them, but you know, that was our experience there. But anyway, the important part is that we were in Maine. We tracked 2 demos, 2 songs we got coming out really soon, actually. One's called I'm Your Broken Heart, and the other is called Criminal. Excited for everybody to hear those, but we should have music videos coming out with those too, like live kind of music videos. But this place in Maine, it was a really cool little cottage, and the room that we had set up in was like all wood floors, all wood paneling. So it was just this very acoustically friendly setting. It was cool. But yeah, since we got back from that, I've started, you know, I've been working on my own stuff over the past month and a half. I've been working on stuff with them too, but in my free time, I've probably written and recorded close to 15 songs now. So I should have an album ready in like January. And that's my, it was a little drawn out, but that's my kind of musical journey to
that's
now.
Perfect. Just a couple questions about just your journey in general. With J.O.B, what's it like to join a band that's already 13 years in the making?
It is. So here's the thing. It's definitely a double-edged sword, because going into it, you know, in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm the new guy. These people know what they're doing. They've been doing this for 13 years. They tour, they gig, they do all the stuff I've always dreamed of doing. But so it's like these people are experts. But on the same hand, it's like I also have my own personal experience, which is not the same. So I have to kind of balance those two worlds, and it's really cool because they like. You know, when I was in my high school band or whatever other bands, it's just like, oh, we got to find something, where it's like, now I have to remind myself, like, they've already found these people. All I need to do right now is get good at the drums. We're better. I like to think I'm okay, but maybe a little better than okay, not to sound cocky, but I love what I do.
You're in a band.
So I try to, I'm trying to kind of ease off the gas a little bit, because I've always been kind of used to, like, in my high school band, we did a couple gigs. We didn't really practice too much, so we weren't that great. But I was always trying to like urge us. I've always loved music, so I've always taken it pretty seriously, or tried to. I had a job, and that's just distracting too. But you know, there's various distractions in the world, but when you cut them out, you can really focus. But with this project, I've been actually able to just take a step back and be like, all right, I have the right people. We got this. Like, I don't need to constantly be hammering away at various things. Like, I just need to focus on what I'm doing. And it's been a really nice change of pace from the, high school and college band experience where everybody has their distractions. Like, this is Jim was telling me this, or Jason, I don't remember who it was. One of the guys was just like, this is what we do. Like, this is who we are. This is what we do. We have it covered. And I at that, when they said that, I was just like, okay, I'm just going to play the drums. And
yeah, that's awesome just to know that you can
very
focus
nice
on one thing.
Yeah,
especially coming from the stresses of college and that all that, to go to somewhere where you can just focus on one thing at a time and just focus on yourself, especially and your own music. What was it like to get ACBQ's top 40 charting rock band?
So from what I heard, it was pretty cool. I just joined.
Okay. So it wasn't too recently.
Yeah, I think that was for a song called Red Eye, which is this kind of a Americana-ish song. It's really cool. They did a music video with it. This is before my time, but they did a music video where they got this big bus and like crammed a bunch of people on it. They were shooting it, riding down the highway, playing inside the bus. It was awesome. I've been telling them, like, I want to play on the back of a flatbed truck, but that'll be down the line. That'll be down the line.
So let's transition from your band to your solo career. I think it's pronounced Venus Complex.
Yes. Yeah, that is the name.
VENIS Complex. So just take me through, when did that start as your brainchild, or when did you think about doing your own music like that?
Okay, well, I've always made my own music from, forgot when I started. I think starting in high school, I would kind of play around with stuff, and then freshman year of college, I got into it a little more. Then sophomore year, I released a couple projects under my own personal name, just Brian Penczak. But everybody in my fraternity freshman year and last year too called me Venus, because I was just doing a bunch of stupid shit. And one time, like, one of my pledge brothers was apparently he had a friend in New York named Brian that they also called Venus. So he just started calling me Venus.
Nice.
And it caught on. And it kind of developed into this like psychological complex of mine. It's just like, all right, I guess I'm Venus. Like, it was just like, you get called something enough times, you're just like, all right, this is just where I'm at right now. Like, okay, that's fine. No worries. Like,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Exactly. It is what it is. So I was trying to, I was like, all right, I've been releasing stuff under my own name. It's just like, I'm not feeling it. Like, it's not, I need to come up with some kind of artist name. And then the name Venus was just like popping around in my head. And I was just like, everybody called me Venus. Like, I should use that. Why would I not use that? It's hilarious. It's hilarious. People are like, Venus, that's something I would look into. Like, it's just a funny name. And then I was like, but it needs like a second word. Like, and so I had this list of like 16 or 17 things, like the word Venus followed by a word. And then I was just like, complex. It is a psychological complex at this point. Venus complex.
That's hilarious, man. That is so funny. That's so funny where that can sprout from.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
Let's talk about your single, Can't Get Enough of Your Love. How did that come to fruition? When did you write that? Like, is there a certain time period that just made you really go into that mode in your head?
So I am a huge fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love their music. All of their music. Like, their new stuff is cool, but I'm one of those people that, I downloaded their entire discography from Spotify. All the, like, I don't know if you've ever seen that album where it's like 5 different albums and it's each like part of like a mandala looking thing.
No, I haven't, but I'll look it up though.
It's more of their obscure stuff, and they have some of their older stuff is just really funky. And I guess this is not a super unknown song, but there was this one song called Walkabout. And this song is just like, I think it was inspired by basically in Australia, there was this thing like the Aborigines used to do, like, as part of a coming of age thing. I think I could have it wrong, but as far as I know, they used to do this thing called a walkabout, where like they would leave the tribe and they would go and walk around until they kind of found some spiritual wholeness at like a place. They would find like a place, and that was like, I think, what that song was based on. And that's not what my song is based on, but the style of that song, it's got this really groovy bass line. And I was just up at like 2 or 3 in the morning one night, and I was like, I've got a really groovy bass line in my head. I should see what this sounds like. So I plugged in my bass. It's just it's an Ibanez sound gear. It's not like it's a super fancy bass or whatever. I got it running through my acoustic amp over here. And it just happened, and I was like, ooh,
that's nice.
That's nice. I like that a lot. I posted a video of it on Instagram. People were like, that's groovy. Like, I got a few people that were like, that's dope. Like, so the next day or that night, I don't remember, I was just like, well, if I'm trying to make this sound like a Chili Peppers song, like I may as well just make it like a sex rap. So I wrote these really like corny lyrics and put them on there. And I was like, all right, it needs guitar. So I was like, I just kind of did some like normal, just like funky, like, normal funk guitar, except I don't have a wah pedal, which is like for anyone who plays funk, it's understandable, like you kind of need a wah pedal, but I made it work. And then
if you don't know what a wah pedal is, it is quite literally that wah 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 on your guitar.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like my there are a lot of cool guitar pedals out there, but a wah pedal is
the coolest.
It's the best one.
That one or the saxophone one are my favorites. There's a
saxophone pedal.
Yeah,
what is a saxophone pedal?
I saw one live.
Ooh.
It transitions into a saxophone sound, and it's just amazing.
That's amazing. See, I want to get a sitar pedal, but I actually have a sitar, but I don't know how to play it.
I know one of my friends.
Purchase.
One of my friends wants to play the sitar, but he still hasn't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, I bought it on Craigslist, and I was like trying to tune it, and I was like, yeah, this isn't happening. So I'll get back to it one day if I haven't. Anyway, but to finish the story, I got the verses and the chorus done, and then I was like, it still needs something. Yeah. So at the end of the song, I just kind of like, I simplified the drums, just like boom, da, boom, just really took it down to bare bones with the bass line. And then I tried to get like a John Frusciante, like Jimi Hendrix-esque kind of just like wailing solo, like not really shreddy, but just like over accentuated whiny bends, like just whiny, just like wow, that kind of stuff. And I put all the reverb I could on it. Like I turned the reverb dial on my amp all the way up, and then in Cakewalk, which is the DAW I use, I also put a lot of reverb on it. It was just, and it sounds like just like someone standing in an arena or just like shredding this super, just it's a great sound for sure. For those that haven't listened to your song or that don't know anything about you, how would you describe that sound? How would you describe like your it's really genre bending in a way. How would you describe that to somebody? So I submitted this to a couple of playlists, and I had to do a little write-up for it. And basically the sound I was going for, the way I try to mix my music, rather than having it sound like you're listening to something, I try to mix it so it sounds like you're on stage, surrounded by the instruments. So I have the bass panned all the way to the left, the guitar panned all the way to the right, and the drums, like, they're kind of panned individually, so it sounds like you're sitting in like either the drummer's throne or right in front of the drums. Like, it's just it sounds like all the sound sources are coming from different places. So my goal for this song was to try to like drop you into the shoes of like some parachute pants wearing, like fedora wearing, like just like Sunset Strip disco guy from the 70s playing at like a crowded club with just like crazy drugs flying around, all kinds of crazy shit happening. And that was the main thing of the song, is just like this, like, this character. And then once the solo kicks in, it's supposed to be kind of like, all right, the show's over, you're driving home down the California coastline with just this guitar solo just kind of melting you into the environment of your surroundings. And
that's pretty cool.
That was the goal.
That's a great way to describe. I've never heard someone describe their music like that. I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome to be
I
able to like to articulate that and to be able to say like I'm gonna drop you into a concert in a arena full of people are surrounded by the instruments like and then to know that that guitar solo is gonna just sink you into the music. It's pretty awesome, dude.
yeah,
I like that.
thanks.
Um
Yeah, I try to tell stories with all the songs I write. But
yeah, I like that.
yeah.
I think that's really important, especially in songwriting. I think that's really important. So tell us about, so you told me off air on in an email that it's a multi-genre solo slash collaborative album that you're gonna release in January. Do you
Yeah.
have a title for us? That's one. And two, if you were to mix genres, like tell us a little bit about that and what your plan is on that.
Okay, so the title of the album is actually one of the songs called Perspective. It's another kind of like funky. This is more of a funk pop song. I got some like trumpets and stuff, and
Mm.
actually it might be saxophone. There's a bunch of stuff going on. MIDI is nice. It lets you do a lot of things. But I try to do as much as I can without it because one thing I've noticed about music is that like you don't you don't need to know how to play anything to make it anymore.
Not even a little bit.
And on one hand, like it's kind of disappointing, but on the other hand, it's like, all right, I still want to play stuff because I enjoy it, but it's like I can also make use of these tools. So like I can drop in saxophones or whatever, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But anyway,
Yeah,
so the title,
yeah, we'll get into that later. We'll talk
I
about
got you.
that exact thing in
I
music
got
later.
you. I got you. Yeah. So the title track is called Perspective. The title is called Perspective. The I don't know if I sent you the album art, but the album art
Mm-mm.
basically I took a bunch of pictures of myself holding instruments at various angles, and I don't know if you've ever seen like in Hindu culture, there's that being with like 8 arms or something holding a bunch of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Yeah,
going for that kind of vibe, but like super psychedelic.
yeah.
And hopefully I won't get any backlash for that. I saw Cardi B did something with that recently and got a lot of heat, but I'm not I'm
We'll
not
see.
I'm not gonna get into that right now. But yeah, so there's that. And then in terms of trying like genre blending or whatever, I try to take some songs, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna write a rock song or I'm gonna write a funk song. But sometimes I just try to take concepts that I have no experience with and just see what happens.
That's awesome.
Like for
Yeah, I like that.
instance, I wrote a song on November 8th called 11/8 in the time signature 11/8.
11-8.
Yeah. And I've never played in that time signature before. So I was just kind of sitting to my drums like, what the hell is this? Like trying to figure it out. And I have no idea what to describe the genre as, but again, it's kind of like a little funk inspired, but it's also like it's an 11/8, so I have no idea what the
Yeah,
hell to call it. Like,
there's like I can't there's like no songs that I
yeah,
can think of in 11-8.
yeah. I reached out to like a rapper on Instagram that followed me or something, and I was like, "Do
Mhm.
you want to rap over this?" And he was like, "What's 11/8?" And then I explained it, and he just didn't respond. So
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
I don't know if I could respond to that because that is like
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of that in my head what that even sounds like.
Well, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah,
6,
yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10,
10,
11, 1,
11,
2,
1.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Yeah, that. But then
Exactly.
how do you even sing? How do you play instruments consistently over that? It's hard. That sounds really hard.
Yeah, the drums weren't too hard.
Oh yeah.
The bass line was tricky to figure out because basically I was like sliding up to like I think the 10th fret and then doing some stuff with like a pentatonic, but I'd have to slide on the one every time, which
Mhm.
as a drummer, like that was my first instrument, everything was 4/4, 4/4. And then like
Yeah.
if you wanted to get crazy, 3/4. 11/8.
Yeah.
I don't play jazz. Like I don't know what the hell
Yeah.
that is, but I was just
Yeah.
like, I'll do this. And
Yeah, I was in a jazz ensemble in high school, and the farthest we really got to changing out of 4/4 was 5/4, which was a song called man, I can't remember. Nah, it's fine. Don't even worry about it. But 5/4 is definitely an interesting time signature. I couldn't imagine 11/8.
five. So, you know, one thing that makes 11/8 a little easier is if rather than thinking of 11/8, if you just think of it as like two measures of 4/4, then one of 3/4, and do that on
Yeah,
repeat.
yeah.
But that wasn't the phrasing of the song because I was each phrase was one measure. Basically, I would sing a verse in one measure. I would sing I would sing a line in one measure. I would sing a line in one measure.
You might have to just send that to me. You might have to send.
I'll send it to you.
You really might have to send that to me because I'm really curious now, and I want to send it to my bandmates as well. So I think
I will. Once it's done, I'll send it to you. But
yeah.
I reached out to this guy I met in high school at Battle of the Bands. I don't know if you've heard of Psycho Street, but these two guys in Richmond. They're like blowing up right now. They just released a single. It's hit like 20,000 plays or something. So shout out to them. But I reached out to him, and he's gonna hopefully help me with that. If he we talked about doing it, and I don't know how many messages he has on his inbox. If I was getting thousands of streams, I would probably be missing things too. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen with that, but he'll do the guitar for that hopefully. And yeah, it's definitely, I don't know what to describe the genre as. There's lyrics that I also rapped in there. There's a little bit of like this weird existential, like after I think there's a solo where it's like alternating between drums and bass of like I'll do like a solo on the drums and replicate it on the bass, and it was going back and forth. And after that there's this weird like just little existential rant that I went on with, like it wasn't saying it, I just said it and put it in there. I was like, okay, whatever. Like this song is nuts. Awesome. I may as well just see where it goes. But yeah, in terms of like you said with the genre blending, a lot of times I'll start with a concept and then pick a contradictory concept and just see what happens without much of a plan. And it usually ends up sounding like pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. I think it really adds like a dipole in your music. Because now that I think about it and like listening back, especially on your single, like I can hear different things. And I think that was what really drew me in, was just the different instruments and then the spacey feel. Like it felt like I was not where I was, like not in my dorm listening to your music.
Good. I'm glad that's how my mixes came across. That's always the goal. Like it's pretty much a staple of my mixes. Like the bass is always going to be all the way to the left. The guitar, the rhythm guitar, whatever, if it's acoustic, electric, is always going to be all the way to the right. And then if I have a lead guitar, it'll be floating around somewhere kind of in the middle, but oftentimes I'll play around with the panning. So like if I'm playing like a slide, it'll move from left to right or right to left.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I love doing stuff like that.
You know, now that you explained this all to me, I'm actually really curious. What software do you use?
So I guess it's Cakewalk by BandLab now, but it used to be called Sonar Cakewalk, but then BandLab bought it, and I still have, my dad had a copy of Sonar Platinum that he gave to me, so I use that. And basically what that means is I use the BandLab version, but with all the awesome plugins that Platinum had.
Really?
Which is nice. There's a program called Addictive Drummer 2 or Addictive Drums 2. I don't remember which one, but it basically it's like a really nice MIDI drum program. And when I say MIDI drums, like I'm not sitting down and drawing them out. Like I have a Roland TD17
keyboard.
KVX.
Yeah.
No, not a keyboard. I have a drum kit.
Oh, you're talking about your electric drums. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I live in my grandma's house right now, so I don't really have a place to set up and mic acoustic drums without driving people crazy. So yeah, but I have the electronic drums, and that works great because what it does, it captures the dynamics, it captures the feel, it captures all that stuff, and sends it as MIDI information to my audio interface, which then I can put into this Addictive Drums program. And basically, it has all different kinds of kit pieces. It's got different drum sets. You can play around with the room ambiance.
Oh, so it'll change up the sound on the MIDI.
Right, but they sound like real drums. It's not like you're sitting there with a MIDI keyboard and pads and like boom, tap.
Yeah. My friend has an electric drum, and we're actually planning on using his stuff for our next project. But
I would absolutely recommend that. It works fantastic.
So what I thought, and this might be just my innocent to electric drums brain, but I always thought that it had, because I know that there's a soundboard right here on the electric drums that you can change up.
Right.
From like TR 808 to different things like that.
Right.
And then play it. But you're saying that it's on your MIDI and you can change it from whatever you hit to sound differently to another kit?
So let me walk you through that a little bit. So what you just said was correct. There is the brain on the drums, which has a whole bunch of different kits.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure about most. I think most kits have this, but my kit has MIDI outs and audio outs. So what I used to do, there was a kit on here. I think it was just like Studio Room or something. I remember it was Kit 11 that I would use all the time. And I would take, there's a left out and a right out, and I would just take it and jam it directly into the audio interface, and I get 2 tracks. Now what I do is I take the MIDI thing and I get like, how many drums do I have? I get 9 different tracks plus 2 room tracks, which I don't really use. But the room tracks, if I did use them, would sound really cool because it captures the reverb of the room. I just don't use them in the mix because I haven't been playing with that. And you know, I've already made a whole album without doing that sound, and I kind of like how it sounds. I don't really want to go back and tweak it at this point. But when I do the next one, I might factor that in, or maybe I'll have actual drums to record. I mean, I have some, but they're set up at the band house, and I don't use them here. But yeah, so you can have, there's the audio outs like you were talking about, and that you can select with the brain on the drum kit, and then there's also the MIDI outs. And what a lot of drummers that use electronic drums will do, from what I've read on forums, is they'll record both. So they get the audio outs from the drum set, and then they also get the MIDI outs if they want to like play around with that. But I don't do that because my computer is not like super new, so it only has so much processing power. And I mean, it works well for what I need to do.
So when you say MIDI out, and it gives you 9 different tracks of each of the individual toms and cymbals and snare.
Yeah, I get 1 track per thing, and it captures like, actually. So no, that's not true. It's got 9 different tracks in terms of where the audio goes, but it's also got a bunch of different triggers. So like, there's a different trigger for rim shots. There's a different trigger for the pad itself. I remember I had to calibrate the hi-hat settings, which I was just sitting there like basically with this drum mapping software in Addictive Drums. I had to sit there opening it to various heights and hitting it, and it was just like really glitchy and weird because my hi-hat on the drums wasn't calibrated correctly or something. So once I got that figured out, it worked smoothly. But there's a lot of various things you got to do to get it set up. But once you do get it set up, it's just like you have this incredibly powerful software at your disposal, and it kind of blends the feel of acoustic drums with the convenience of MIDI drums. Because like that's one thing I never got from standard MIDI drums. Like if you're sitting there with a keyboard or something and just tapping at a beat, like that doesn't feel the same. Like it's not. No. You're not playing the drums. You're hitting blocks. When you have an electronic drum kit, you have that same feel of playing the drums without the added pain in the ass of miking everything up and getting levels and all that stuff, because you can control all that in post with the MIDI.
Yeah, and especially you can put in fills where you want to, different types of things that you really need besides tapping it like
yeah,
MIDI.
exactly. Yeah, MIDI drums for fills, I've never, I don't like, you know, the best you're gonna get with a MIDI drum fill is like, it's like da 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 da, or just something like that. It's like, it's not. There's not really much dynamics, or I mean, I guess there is if you sit there and like drag all the automation lanes around, but I don't.
Yeah, but that takes entirely too long, and you'll probably end up sounding like Collins anyway. Do probably end up sounding like that anyway. So, I really want to get into like, so you're a drummer by trade, but you said you picked up different instruments. What instruments did you pick up first, and then second, how does drums help you furthering your musical knowledge, I guess?
I'm gonna answer your second question first.
Okay.
Timing. When you're a drummer, you learn you're the beat, you got to keep in time or everything falls apart. One thing I noticed with, you know, my brother had picked up guitar at an early age, and when I would jam with him, he didn't get the timing that much, just because like it wasn't ingrained into his psyche, I guess, when in terms of playing music with other people. I mean, also I was not a great drummer at the time, so I was probably also messing it up a little. I'm not gonna blame all of him, but starting as a drummer definitely helps your groove and timing. Like if you're now, like I can pick up a bass or guitar, like sometimes me and my bassist still jam during break times at our practice, or me and my guitarist, like one of them will hop on the drum kit and I'll just go grab an
Mhm.
instrument. And it helps so much for like locking into that groove. Even like with a guitar, like you're not always playing on the beat, but
Yeah.
I can feel where the beat is. Like you feel it.
Mhm.
It's not like you have to count it. It's like, you feel the pulse. I don't know if this podcast has video, but like I'm sitting here bobbing my head back and forth
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. No, they can see
And
it.
okay, cool. Well, I guess that means they've been seeing me scratch my head and picking my nose the whole time, but that's just what it
No.
is. Um, um, anyway, so yeah, like you feel that beat, especially like if you start on drums, it's just in there. So whenever you're playing, like I can kind of be off beat with the guitar, but still in time. And had I
Yeah.
not started on drums, I don't think I ever would have gotten.
Yeah. My
But
my friend actually, he started on drums and branched out into other facets of musical instruments, and he said that like the biggest thing in that, he said like music altogether, he said, I hope you're ready to count to 4. He said
yeah,
that's
yeah,
basically what he said. And I think that can take people so far, just learning the groove, especially like people who are frustrated, because I know when I was younger, I tried to start guitar lessons around 8 years old, and I just got so frustrated in that I could not pick up a beat to save my life. I had rhythm, I could tap my feet, I could dance or whatever. Like when I was young, you know how like little
mm.
kids,
Oh
you can
yeah, I
tell if
used
they
to do
have
that.
rhythm or not, and,
Yeah,
and
I
whatever.
used to dance around all the time and
Yeah, and
or
whatever. But when you
sing
when you
about
pick up an
random
instrument,
shit.
yeah, exactly. And you pick up an instrument, it's just like it's different. And to be able to stay on beat and stay on groove was something that I actually had to just learn by learning. And I didn't really
Yeah,
pick up drums
well,
until about high school. But
I
yeah,
got
so
you.
that's pretty awesome though. I definitely think that is, if I were to ever start somebody off on an instrument that wants like a musical path, I would start them out with the drums.
Drums are
No
great. I
question
love
about it.
drums. It's also you can also just do like there's I think there's a common I'm not going to say misconception because it's kind of true, but you don't need to be that musically inclined to play drums. You're hitting
You
things with
don't.
sticks.
You don't.
So that's to get started, but once you get into the more advanced techniques, then it's like, oh, this is actually an instrument. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing
Mm-hmm.
I never really did starting out, like a lot of people will practice rudiments and grind out stuff. I never did that, which I'm starting to do now a little bit just because I'm in a band and like I want to kind of work on some fills, and like I've got a few fills that I can play really well and sound like and move them around. It's just, but they're not really fills that I've kind of worked out note by note. They're like techniques that I just kind of move around the kit.
Yeah.
Had I learned those rudiments, I would have had way more techniques to do. So I'm trying to do that now, but like it's starting out is easy, getting good is hard. And
I agree.
I think with guitar, that's not true because with guitar, like the finger placement is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Learning that and learning how to move that around and out, like do that stuff, it's really hard to get started.
The
But
the
once you
sheer
kind of have
the sheer
that,
size of your hand can change how you play a guitar.
yeah, I
You know?
have like really I have big palms but really like stubby fingers.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah.
guitar
Yeah.
was it was rough. It was rough getting started, but I got a PRS and the neck on that just really fits my hand well,
Yeah.
which is
I still
great.
need to find a good guitar that fits my hand. Like, cause
I
I can't get my bar chords right. It's not
yeah,
going well for me.
I would look into a PRS because if like I assume you've played a Strat, but like those usually have like
Mm,
pretty thick necks.
yeah.
A PRS has a much thinner profile neck, and it's
Mm,
just this. It fits in your hand really nicely. You can glide up and down, but yeah. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying though, like
yep.
with guitar, once you have the basics, it's a lot easier to kind of mess around and see what you can
It
do.
is. It is.
Whereas with drums, the basics are super easy to learn, but the advanced stuff, it's like you have to sit there and grind it out.
Agreed.
Like,
Like, yeah, my friend, the furthest I really got was like my friend was teaching me like triplet fills and just making sure I stayed on beat after that. But like after,
yeah,
when you
coming
get
back to
past,
those is weird.
when you get past that, it's just like whoa. And then getting past the triplet fills and going on to like different types of just like, I don't know, I've watched a lot of Travis Barker
I love Travis
drumming.
Barker. That man
He's
is
my goat. He's my
wild.
goat for drumming, but we can get into that conversation another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've watched so many, and I can't understand how you get out in and out of fills like as crazily as he does or with
One
one
th-
hand like he does.
Yeah, one thing he does that has always been impressive to me is he switches between feels like that. Like he'll be playing do da 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 do
Yeah.
da do. It's just like this weird, and I try to do that a little bit, but yeah, with my current band, we're kind of like we're more like Americana. We don't really do that kind of stuff, so I kind of throw that into my own stuff. But with
Yeah.
with the band, I don't really do that much. Like it's more like you select a feel for the song, you kind of explore around that. But I don't do Travis Barker kind of crap because it's like
Nah,
that's a very specific sound that.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember if I sent you this one or not, but I wrote I was like, all right, I'm gonna write a Blink-182 song just to see what happens, as I usually do.
My friend, all of my bandmates, everyone that I know makes fun of me, but I am a big fan of Blink-182.
They're good. They're good. Like everybody likes to shit on them because like sometimes it's fun to shit on people that are popular because like and it's just like that's what people do. They if you're not loving your life, you gotta tear other people down, which I wish it wasn't that way, but that's kind of what happens. And I try not to do that. I try not to do that. But
I could throw Blink's greatest hits on shuffle and just listen, man. I love Blink-182.
Exactly. They're good. Like I don't know what like people will be like, oh nah, what about like I'm not really super into current music just because like it like we were talking about earlier, it lacks a lot of a lot of times it lacks instrumentation. I don't think there's much musically happening. It's just a beat with somebody rapping over it. And like that's what I love about things like Blink-182 and especially Travis Barker. He will play drums for rappers and it will sound incredible.
Oh
like
my
he did
gosh.
a song. Have you heard of Yellow Wolf?
Yeah, I've heard that one too. Yeah,
the Out of Control.
That's a good one.
My friend showed me that song. I was like, this is awesome. So I learned it. I was like, ooh, he plays that with one foot. I'm doing that with two. That's crazy. Like,
yeah,
I gotta work on my. I was like, it's like,
yeah, he doesn't have double pedals. Yeah,
it's like
he never uses double pedals. It's crazy.
Well, I saw he broke his foot once, and this man's up there on stage in front of like however many people he plays in front of, playing everything with his left foot with a double bass pedal.
Yeah.
And also his hi-hat foot. I'm just like, what is happening right now? I think he like put his heel down or something. I don't know what he did, but it was
the craziest thing I ever saw him do was it was on a talk show, and Blink when they were playing or whatever, and I think it was like 2 days before broke his left arm. So he decides, all right, I'm just gonna play with my right hand. I'm gonna do all the fills I normally do with one hand. And it was nuts. You have to look it up. It's just Travis Barker, one hand drummer, and he just all the way across the drum kit. It was crazy, ridiculous.
I mean, I don't want to spend all this time talking about Travis Barker, but he is very inspiring because like I think he did a lot of like marching stuff. So he has a lot of like single stroke things, but he has it so fast and so tight that he really can't just move around the kit.
Yeah.
And I was never in marching band. I was in band through middle school, and then I was in band for like 1 year. But I was a percussionist, so what would happen is he'd be directing the rest of the band. And I would just get bored because he'd be like, play marimba. And I'd be like,
why am I playing marimba?
I don't want to play marimba. Like I play drum kit. Like let me play drum kit. So I'd get in trouble because occasionally I'd go in the storage closet and just set up drums and start like jamming,
just play. Yeah.
And he came and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like I'm playing. He's like I'm trying to teach the class. And I was like, fine.
Yeah.
So and somebody left a guitar back there. I would just go back there and jam.
So I think it was one of the previous podcasts we were talking about that, and like we really need to fix band in school to cater to what people really want to do.
One thing I noticed, I mean, my opinions on school are not very high. I attribute it to it. Like I always got good grades, but it was, it's just like it seems kind of like I haven't been a perfect student either, like but it seems kind of like a meat packing plant. They put you in there from a really early age for like 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day, and they teach you all this stuff. If you're doing something creative, some teachers are like, oh, that's cool. Like, I hope you get through these next years. Like, hold on to that. Because they, somewhere deep down, that spark is still alive inside them.
Mm-hmm.
But other ones have just been beaten down by life. And they're just like, I'm a high school teacher now. I no longer care. And that's, and that just gets passed on to all these creative kids that are just sent through this meat packing plant of like
I agree.
education.
Yeah.
I'm not saying education is not important. I think it is, but like, because we need to have some shared realities as humans. Like, in order to function as a group, there needs to be some kind of shared base of, I'm not going to say knowledge because I don't know if that's actually a thing, but there needs to be some kind of shared base of what we base our decisions off of, like a culture, which I think of school as like it's your entrance into culture. But it shouldn't be this grind that's just, it saps everybody of their life energy, and by the time they get out, it's just like, I've seen a lot of my friends turn into alcoholics or all this kind of stuff just because, like, they're doing things that make them miserable and they don't think there's any way out because they've been trained from like age 5 to, here's your path, this is what you're going to do, and this is your option. And I think that's a terrible thing that our school system does. And I'm not blaming it on them because, like, that's how they were raised, that's how it's always been done. But there are better ways to do things, and we need people that are gonna make those decisions to do that. And getting back to the band thing, I would always ask the band professor or teacher, I don't know what you call them in high school, I think teacher. I would always be like, can we just jam like for a day? Like let us be creative. He'd be like, no, we gotta learn Apollo or whatever it was. And I was
Like,
just
no
be
one's
like,
trying to learn Apollo.
I was just like, I've got to play like 8 notes in this song. I've learned the damn thing. Where I don't remember what it was, or I would just like, he'd be like, you haven't learned it yet. I'd be like, I saved it for today. I didn't want to put time into this. And then I wouldn't do great on my band test just because, like, I don't like marimba. I didn't like doing it.
Yeah.
If I don't like doing something, I don't put any effort. If I do like doing something, I'll effort to the max and it'll sound great. But like, there have been multiple things like that in my life. My parents used to make me go to Hebrew school because we were Jewish. I'm not religious, but I didn't want to be there. I would get into like philosophical arguments with people about whatever stuff. And for months, like, it's not that hard to learn a language if you actually do it. I was on the first book the entire time because I would get there and I would stare at the page and I would just go, oh, this is just too hard. I just wouldn't do it because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And it was just like, why would I waste my time doing this? And eventually, like, I stopped going because my parents were like, all right, this has no value. I was like, that's what I fucking told you when you sent me here. And I don't know if I can curse on your podcast. Sorry about that. But
no, you're all good. You're all good.
it's just there have been in any education type of thing, the student should be more important than the material. If we're going to grow in any kind of way as a species, as humanity, the people learning the things need to be a more important aspect of the education than the things themselves, because we're the people that are actually applying those things. Like, that needs to be part of it. Like, if you're just sending people through like a meatpacking industry, like, yeah, they're going to come out able to screw things in, but like, we're not going to be able to advance. We're not going to be able to move forward. So
yeah, I agree.
It's just, it'd be nice if it fostered creativity a little more and was less like top down, overbearing, like, do your homework. Because,
Yeah, no, that's I could not have said that better. I think that the school system in general, as you said, like, it should cater towards the students, not towards anything or anybody else, because those are the people that are trying to learn and trying to better themselves at the end of the day. Whether it be their choice or their parents' choice, it's still about them. So yeah. Is there anything else you want to throw out there that you're coming up with, that's coming out, that you got coming up?
So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, with the J.O.B, we've got 2 singles that should be coming out pretty shortly. I would say, if I'm not going to put a timestamp on it because I don't know, and I don't want to like get to band practice and then be like, why would you say that? So I'm just going to say it's coming soon. But yeah, we got 2 new songs coming out with that. We should have live music videos going up soon from Maine.
Awesome.
And
you got any gigs coming up? Even like, I know COVID and everything, but you got any like drive-in gigs or anything like that?
So we're not doing driving gigs, but we are starting to book things at various breweries and whatnot and bars in, I think, mostly breweries and outside venues starting in either March or April. So I can send you I sent you the link to our website, but also send you like a gig schedule, what we have.
Please do.
Yeah. So that's with that. And then also, my personal stuff, I have an album that I intend to release in January once it's all done. And, as you mentioned earlier, it is, somewhat collaborative. I do most of the things, but I'm bringing in outside people to do some parts. And you know how working with outside people goes. Like, everybody has a life. It's not like everybody's sitting around to cater to my needs. So I'm still waiting on things to come in, and it'll happen. But it's just like, I gotta remind myself, all right, I just tell myself, it's like, you need to just wait. Like, they've got shit they're doing. It's
January. You must remember you have that much time. You got January. So this was Brian Penczak, perspective in January. J.O.B. dropping some new things in March and April, going on gigs and tours.
I think that we're dropping stuff
soon
before then, soon. Gigs and stuff coming in March and April.
Gotcha.
And hopefully we'll be booking tours and whatnot too. But we'll
see what happens. Yeah, I think everyone should pull out their phone, go on Instagram, and follow at Brian Penczak. That's PENCZAK _music. Please give that a follow. That'll be perfect. Just so you can keep up to date with all his music and stuff coming out. This was Behind the Artist. I want to thank everyone for listening, and I want to thank you, Brian, for coming on. It was a great talk. I loved everything.
Can I have one more thing, please?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Please also follow my band. It's at the J.O.B. or at the J.O.B. band, but there's just one B. So at the J.O. band, that's our Instagram handle. And that would be much appreciated.
THEJO band. There we go, baby.
Yes. Thank you. Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. I think everyone should give their music a listen, and I think you should definitely give Brian as a solo act a listen, because being as complex it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Thank
all right.
You.
So thank you all for listening. Thank you, Brian, again. Peace.
Throw a dog a bone. I made